Buckle up, folks, because the story of Rudy Giuliani and James Comey isn't just another political headline. This is the kind of story that flips the entire game board on American justice, okay? And most people have no idea what the real history here means. This is a story about two of the most powerful men in law enforcement. One they called America's mayor after he walked through the smoke of 9/11. The other, the director of the FBI, whose choices would detonate a presidential election. It's the story of a mentor and his protege. And it starts with a handshake and ends in a bitter public betrayal. Let's go ahead and start right here, because in the beginning, there was praise.
He was a better than average to very good assistant U.S. attorney candidate.
I apologize for having hired him years ago. I'm very embarrassed about that.
But let me tell you guys, decades later, that praise had curdled into pure contempt. So what happened? For years, Rudy Giuliani has been on a warpath, telling anyone who would listen that the man he hired was a showman, a leaker, and that his ambition would be his undoing. He wasn't just criticizing Comey, he was building a case piece by piece in the court of public opinion. So how did America's mayor go from being James Comey's mentor to his biggest public enemy? And did he, in a strange twist of fate, predict his former protege's downfall years before it ever happened? Today, I want to go ahead and break it all down. Stay tuned, guys, because what I'm about to show you will make it crystal clear why this political relationship blew up and shaped the America we live in today. To understand how it all fell apart, you have to go back to the beginning. Okay? The year is 1987. New York City is a war zone, glittering wealth on one side, gritty crime on the other. And the guy at the center of the fight against the mob is Rudolph W. Giuliani, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Giuliani was a force of nature. He used press conferences like a weapon, and he wasn't afraid of anyone. He was building a legacy, and he needed a team of hungry, sharp lawyers to get it done. One of the candidates who walked through his door was a young James Comey. Giuliani later said that getting a job in his office was as hard as getting into Harvard Law. But Comey made the cut. For 2 years, Giuliani was his boss. They worked in the same crusading legal culture, taking down bad guys. Now, Giuliani said he had no idea back then what Comey would become. He was just another promising lawyer in an office full of them. The relationship was professional. But beneath the surface, two very different guys were on two very different paths. One was on his way to becoming mayor of New York. The other, the director of the FBI. And their paths were destined to cross again, but next time, as enemies. For years, their careers moved on parallel tracks. But in the early 2000s, James Comey, now the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, prosecuted lifestyle mogul Martha Stewart for obstructing justice. Giuliani watched with growing concern, later calling it the first sign of a publicity-hungry, out-of-control prosecutor. Giuliani argued a non-violent first-time offense warranted a fine, not a massive prosecution to imprison a celebrity. He called it a publicity stunt, believing it was now all about Jim Comey. The Martha Stewart case was more than a legal disagreement. It was the first major crack in their professional respect. A criticism that would lay dormant for a decade before exploding into a full-blown political war. The year 2016 changed everything. As Donald Trump ran for president, James Comey was the FBI director, and Rudy Giuliani was one of Trump's most ferocious defenders. The two were on a collision course. The flashpoint was Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. After Trump won and fired Comey, Giuliani went on TV to hammer the man he once mentored, accusing him of being a showman and overseeing a corrupt investigation. This wasn't just about prosecutorial style anymore. It was about loyalty, politics, and power. As the political wars raged, Giuliani's attacks on Comey became more specific, and he started to predict his future. He was all over TV, calling for an indictment. He claimed Comey had perjured himself, overseen a fraudulent FISA process, and leaked information, essentially laying out a criminal case for the world to see. Now, that indictment never came. James Comey was never charged. But that almost doesn't matter. Giuliani's prediction came full circle by successfully painting Comey as a man whose ambition, in Rudy's view, had led him to break the law. This wasn't a legal argument. For Giuliani, it was the final verdict on his former protege. The story of Rudy Giuliani and James Comey is more than just a tale of two guys. It's symbolic. It's a story about the last 40 years of American politics and justice. It started in an era of clear-cut battles against mobsters and ended in an age where the DOJ and the FBI became the central battlegrounds in a relentless political war. Giuliani hired a man he thought shared his values, only to spend years trying to convince the world that this same man was the embodiment of a justice system that had lost its way. Comey, hired by a tough-on-crime legend, became a national figure who found himself at odds with two presidents and, in the end, the target of his own mentor. So, let's go back to the big question: did America's mayor predict the Comey indictment? The answer isn't simple. He didn't have a secret source. What he had was a front-row seat to James Comey's entire career. He saw ambition, he saw a hunger for the spotlight, and he saw what he believed was a willingness to bend the rules to be at the center of the action. His prediction was an indictment in itself, a judgment made long before any grand jury could ever convene. And that leaves us with a lingering, uncomfortable question. In this era of insane political polarization, can anyone truly be seen as just a prosecutor or just an investigator? Or does everyone, in the end, get consumed by the political fire, one way or another? What do you think about this decades-long political saga? Did Giuliani have a point, or was it all just political revenge? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. I want to read your comments. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video because most people still have no idea what's really happening. Thanks for watching.